everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Interior Soapery. Make sure you come along today and watch us make our famous Surf's Up soap. Hi everyone, I thought I would start off by talking about the hard oils that we use. So first of all, we've got your shea butter, which is here. It's looking beautiful, make the creamy bar. And then of course we go to our coconut. Coconut does harden the bar. Too much of it will dry it out, so we only use a small amount. And then of course we go to our palm oil. So the palm oil is certified and sustainable, so we do make sure we purchase from reputable companies. We get all of ours in Australia. Okay, so we're going to grab all of our oils and get them ready. We'll start off, of course, with the hard oils, just as we were talking about before. So in our mix here, we are going to be measuring the right amount as our recipe. Please note our recipe will be down the bottom. So we're going to be starting off with our coconut oil, and we're going to have 350 grams of the coconut oil. Okay, so next we're going to be adding in our palm oil. So we'll be adding in 350 grams of this certified palm oil. Some people choose not to add the palm in and they may choose a substitute, but for me this is what I like for my bar, and it does give it a nice creamy consistency and adds to the bubbles in the bar. And last but 100% not least is 150 grams of beautiful natural shea butter that we will also be adding to the hard oils. Okay, so now we are adding in all of the melted down oils and the rest of our oils. So you can see to the side, I've already pre-melted them down and they are now at room temperature. So now it's time to work on the olive oil. So in here we're going to add 125 grams of beautiful olive oil. You can see the beautiful golden consistency of that really nice olive oil that we're adding in here. You can also choose to add extra virgin olive oil, if you prefer, but we just use the basic olive oil that you can see here, and there's lots and lots of suppliers online that you can get that from. To that, I'm also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of sodium lactate. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name offhand. And then that actually helps it to release it from the mold nice and easy, and it also gives it a little bit more hardness to the bar. On top of that, once we've popped all that in, we're going to add 150 grams of apricot kernal oil. And after that, we're also going to be adding another 150 grams of sweet almond oil. These are beautiful oils and they will add to the lovely luxury sort of feeling of this bar. You can choose as many different oils as you like, but just do remember, don't pop any oil in. If you're going to change it, do pop this back through soap calc. It's really important to put it through soap calc, or there's lots of other soap calculations online that you can have a look at and repop them through to get the exact amounts. Okay, so we've done our main oils, and aren't you loving my new container? I'm so in love with this container, it's so easy. So now you can see that I'm just popping in my melted down hard oils, scraping out the container, of course, to make sure you get everything out that you can from these oils. You don't want to leave anything behind, because if you leave it behind, then your mixture is not correct. So, because remember, we're weighing it down to the exact gram. So yeah, like I said, popping everything in here and making sure that it's ready for the next step. Okay, so we've popped our stick blender in. We've tapped it on the bottom a little bit, which will release some air bubbles. And now I am just pouring in my lye. Our lye is a mixture of distilled water, and then we also add some almond milk. So the measurements of that I'm using are 686 grams of distilled water, 186 grams of almond milk, and 338 grams of hydroxide. But you can put that through a soap calc. I always suggest, even if you get one online, still pop it all through the soap calc. When I put my lye in as well, which you can't really see here, but I'm actually putting it through a strainer just to get any little bits and bobs out. And the little white bit you can see on the stick blender that I'm about to wipe off, that is actually just the almond milk running down it, because I actually mix my almond milk with distilled water when I create the lye and the hydroxide prior to this. And of course this lye is at room temperature. I usually make mine the day before, and then the next day it's at room temperature and it's ready to go with no hassles at all. You can make a couple containers in advance if you like. They will last a couple days, so you're fine to do that. Now we're going to mix this just a few bursts to get it to a beautiful creamy consistency, as you can see. And I don't like mine to get too thick, especially with this design we're doing, because we do need time to work through all the different layers. Okay, so now we're going to start by pouring the mixture off, which is called splitting it, and we're just going to be splitting it into separate containers, because for this we are actually going to be doing quite a few different colours. We're going to be doing a yellow tone for the sand with of course some titanium. Then we're also going to be doing a steel blue colour, a peacock blue, and then a grey blue. And that will create the waves and the sea colour in our soap, and the yellow colour with the titanium, that will create our sand look. And also to our mix with this one here, we're also adding some powdered down oats. I actually buy the oats from our local supermarket, and then I grind them down really finely. You can do that through your mixer if it has an attachment to grind it down, or even a cheap coffee grinder would be fine, but make sure it's really powdery. And I don't put a lot in, it is only a few tablespoons just to add to the soap, because if you add too much or they're too big, then it will become an issue. So now you can see here the oats, I've poured them into my first mixture, adding some titanium white, because we're first going to be working on our sand dunes. In Australia we have lots of beaches surrounding us because we are a continent, and everybody loves the beach life. So from here we're going to create a beautiful Surfs Up soap. This is definitely my most popular soap, this one and one called Coconut Beach, which are both a beach themed soap. So as you can see, I'm just going to mix it up. We do want it to get a little bit thicker. The scent I'm using is a tropical coconut scent from Aroma. I'm also mixing in a little bit of watermelon, which is also from Aroma fragrances as well. And you can see that my soap molds are on an angle. My husband actually made me a little cross that they sit into on an angle, which is really, it's so amazing, because that way you can sit it like this, you can set it up, and it really doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm a bit messy. You can see the messy bits at the far back. And then I'm just going to spoon the last bits in. We're going to let it set up a tiny bit, so then we can do a bit of a ripple in the sand, because sand isn't flat. So we will need to leave this and come back and just fix it a little bit, but I won't let you hang on that long. And I'll edit this so that you don't have to hold on as long as I did. Okay, let's get colourful. Let's add some beautiful micas into this. So we've already set off our different containers from the start. We did put it all in there. What I actually do so that you don't have any issues is I don't put the fragrance in until I'm getting to the next stage. Because if I put it all in and it was a fast working fragrance, that way it would be hard the time I even got to this stage. So you can see it's still really fluid, and this is a good 10 minutes after we're doing the first layer. So the first colour that you can see me adding in there is from Bath Bomb World, and it's called Peacock Mica. The second one is a steel grey, and that is from Heirloom Australia, and the code for that is 77019 from them. And lastly, the most beautiful blue, which I absolutely love this, and it's a new one I'm starting to use, also from Aussie Candle Supplies, and it's called Cambridge Blue, and it's a cosmetic grade mica called C177019. So I'm going to just mix these ones up. The fragrance I'm using is really slow moving, so I'm more than fine to mix these all in and put my fragrances in at this stage. But if your fragrance is not slow moving, just do one at a time and don't add your fragrance in until you absolutely need to. Our colours are done. So now we have our main pot, which is our white, and then we're on the top, we're going to just drop swirl it into a straight line. If you do it in a straight line straight towards the peak of the jug, this will actually allow it to come out looking like waves. So it's a bit of a trick, and once I do this, I pop all my colours in, and then I just swirl the pot a little bit around in my hand. I don't do anything but just literally swirl it around in round circles in the air, and that way when it actually pours out, it's a little bit mixed around, and then you'll be able to see it come out and looking like waves. So now I'm taking out my molds that we did earlier, and like I said, these have only sat here for maybe 10-15 minutes. So they've hardened up enough for me to be able to now add in my sea colours to the mix. So let's add it in. So you can see that the blue and the white is going to run down, and this is why, like I said, I put it in a straight line. So we're going to get more of the blue at the start, and then we will go more to a white at the end. And then once you've done the first little bit like this, I actually just add a little bit of more of the peacock blue, the cosmetic, and the grey, which I've got in other containers, back into the main jug. And then we will actually just pour the rest down, as you can see here, adding more lots of blue into it. We'll fill this these molds right up to the top, and then after that we will be working on the piping. So keep watching, and I'll let you watch this little bit, and I'll come back in a moment. Okay, so we've got all of our blues and teals in, and doesn't this look beautiful? I absolutely love making my sea-themed soaps, and I can see why people grab them off the shelf really fast at our farmers markets, or as we call them in Australia, we call them craft markets. So we're just going to clean off the edges. It's not vital. I say this all the time because honestly, we're taking it out of the mold. It's only for you guys to have a little bit of a look at. But the one thing that I'm doing is sort of pushing it into the middle a little bit, because once I put the white on the top, that is going to become our wave. So this little blue bit is our water at the bottom, and then of course the big wave. In Australia, we get a lot of foam on our waves in the surf, and which makes them more sort of white at the peak. So hence why I'm going to be adding this bit in. Okay, so now we're adding in the titanium, some fragrance, and this is going to be our piping mixture on the top. So, you know, I decided when I was doing this, I thought, oh no, it's not enough. I need to add more white. So if you need it to be whiter, add some more titanium with your distilled water that is already pre-mixed. But do remember with the titanium, it can make your mixture work really fast. It can move very fast and thicken up a lot. But I know that this fragrance, as I said before, is really, really slow moving. So I know that I have plenty of time to move them along. Okay, so our piping is in the other container, getting a little bit thicker. So while that's happening, we are going to just work on our little blue bit. So we're just using a spoon, pushing this into the center a little bit, because we want one bit to be a little bit lower, because that is going to be our sand dune. So like I said, on both ones, because we're doing 2 molds in one go, we're going to literally just create a little bit of a tunnel so that our white can go on top, and then that's going to become our sand. So I'll let you watch me just pop it all on here, and then I'll come back to explain what I'm doing in the next bit. Okay, we're getting ready to pop on our sand of next. Of course, it's not real sand. The sand that I'm making together in a little container, I've popped some little tiny crystal beads, and these little crystal beads are sugar crystals mixed with a tiny bit of mica. in there, a sandy colour, just as we used on the very bottom. And then we're just going to pop them on the side. These won't do anything to the shower. They will literally just melt and dissolve in water. So they're more than fine to be putting on the edge of a soap. When you're putting things on the edge of the soap, do make sure that it's dissolvable and it's not going to go down the drain. Or if you're going to use some sort of botanics, just make sure they can easily be picked off before somebody using them, so that they don't clog up their drain. Okay, we're back to do some exciting piping. These are the bits that I love on the soap, just decorating, because you finally see your product all come together. So we're just using a typical pastry tip, which is just your round meringue style. But honestly, it doesn't really matter what tip you use, because we're just going to create height with it, and then we're going to be moving it around with a spoon to create a really sort of surfy wave type look. If you want massive big waves on it, you will need to add more and more piping. This mixture is still really slow moving and it isn't as thick as I would like it. So I'm basically just popping it on, and then over time I'm coming back and forward to see if it's thickened up a bit, so that I can create a little bit more of a wave during this process. But you can see how I built it up a little bit higher, and what we're going to be doing and making it all come together. So with a spoon, I'm just creating these little waves to see if it's thick enough. I can see it needs a little bit more time, so I'll come back in a moment. Okay, finally we're up to this stage where everything's thickened up enough. You can see here I also have my embeds that are already pre-made, and inside this little tea strainer I've popped a tiny bit of the mica, which I'm using the Cambridge blue. And I'm just going to pop this on the edge of our waves, because waves aren't totally white. They do have a little bit of blue. And then once I use the spoon and I'm pushing the spoon into the top, it means that the right-hand side of the wave will be blue and the left-hand side of the wave will be white, which is a little bit more realistic, and it gives people more of an idea of exactly what the soap is. So you can see when I've got the spoon, I'm dipping it in and then twirling it up in the air, which will create a wave. It's just a standard teaspoon. You can use any spoon you like. This spoon is dedicated to soaping, so it will not be used to make my coffee at lunchtime. It will only be used to create these sort of things. So do dedicate some things to soaping. Honestly, you can go to your local op shop and just get some spoons and make them for soaping. If you're in the US, I think you call it a thrift store, but here we call it an op shop. But yeah, so anyway, I'm just wiping down the edges and creating as many peaks as I can, and you'll see that the soap is slowly coming together. It does take some time, and like I said, this soap is several processes to do it. It's several layers, but it does come up beautiful in the end. And I think only a soaper would appreciate or understand the amount of time that goes into making a bar like this. So I'll come back in a few seconds and then we'll start to add in all the embeds and bring it all together. Now let's add in all these embeds. This little soap is going to have a pair of thongs, and then it's also going to have a little shell. So when I cut each piece, each person will get a pair of thongs and the shell, and of course, you know, they'll have a little bit of sand and of course a wave in each bar of soap. So I'm sure you can agree that this is going to look so cute. I really do love it. These thongs have become a little bit of a signature for me. I put them in every single bar of my sea-themed soap. I do a few different ones. As I said, Coconut Beach, which is my really big bar. It's similar to this, but it's much bigger bar, and then we divide that into two separate bars, but it's sold as one, but we actually do cut it so it's easier for people to use. And but every time I have those at the Mornington market, where we sell a lot of our products, they sell out, so we pretty much have none left. I think I only have one bar left, so I thought it's time to definitely do some more soap and get this curing on the rack. So yeah, we'll get to the end and we'll get a few bars out of this. You can see me counting to making sure it's all good, and the little end bit, we will actually cut a little slither off the end, and that will become a sample that we'll just give away to one of our lovely customers. When we sell online, we always do give away some free samples, because it's good for us to let people try our other products and see how beautiful homemade products can be. Okay, so on to the second bar. Like I said, we are doing two of them. When I say bar, I should say loaf, really, but you guys know what I mean. So just popping all the thongs in here once again, and making sure they're straight. Don't put them on an angle. If you put them on an angle, then you're going to have to cut something off. I definitely learned that the hard way. I used to make a soap called Strawberry Shortcake, and I decided to make it look all groovy by putting the strawberries on an angle, and then it was disastrous when I cut it, because I had to make the bars so big to pop the strawberries in. It looked amazing, but cutting it became a bit of a headache. So yeah, try and make sure that you just pop them in straight, and it will be easier for you come cutting it. And then of course you'll be able to get more bars, meaning that your customers won't miss out. They'll all actually get what they're hoping to get, which is a beautiful soap. Okay, we're all done, so we'll take a quick look. So if you can see the beautiful blue that is just really gently added in and create something amazing. So now it's the next day, we're going to go for the cut and cut the bar and show you how beautiful this bar is going to be. We'll cut just a little slither off the end and we'll throw that bit away, it's too small. And then in between each of the thongs and the shells, we are going to be cutting soap. So I'm sure you can see how beautiful it looks. The waves have come up really, really well. And of course, at the top of the bar, it has a little peak, which is your main wave. And yeah, I think it looks beautiful. I might have to grab one of these and take it home for myself. So keep watching, guys. And at the end, we will definitely show you our media shots, as we always do. I had to show you the loaf before in this little shop before we cut it, but of course you've seen the cutting, but doesn't it look so cute? And then of course this one has already been cut, so I just have to do the second one, which I'll do off camera. And now of course here is the end, which is our beautiful bars and showing our social media. So these pictures will be used on Etsy and of course on our store and all of our media. Thanks so much. See you next time, guys.